Have you ever been the recipient of unforeseen circumstances? Have you ever not been a victim of unforeseen circumstances? I'm Al Batinga. I'm excited to be your Speakers Bureau. So when I was a sophomore in high school, I had this brilliant idea. I was not doing well in chemistry. So most of you know, because I've told my story many times, I lived in a 10-bedroom boarding house with my parents, living in the same room. I didn't think it could get worse than that, if you can think at 15. Anyways, I had this bright idea. I was going to borrow the test, the chemistry test. So I broke into my teacher's office, borrowed the test, passed it out to three of my friends, thinking I could get by. I could go without foreseen circumstances. I had this brilliant head on my shoulders at 15. We got caught. All three of us, four of us, I gave it to three of my friends, and we all failed. So I got like a D plus out of the class because I had been doing okay. So I thought that was it. You know, they were going to charge me for breaking and entering and theft. Who could do that to a 15-year-old nice guy? Anyways, my parents got furious. Now, my parents are poor, and we come from a poor family. Every last ounce of money went to the Philippines to support their brothers and sisters and all of that. But my parents got so furious at 15, they decided they were going to send me to the boarding school. They made it happen some way, shape, or form. They got in my face, they got angry, and they said, this guy's on a way to life of crime. We're going to stop it right now. So I went from living in the bedroom with my mom and dad till I was 15 to moving into a room with five other troubled boys, just like me, troublemakers just like me, crazy just like me. And I spent the next 2 years, junior and senior in high school, in that place. Now, if you haven't lived in a dorm, in a boarding school, I went from a boarding house and graduated to a boarding school, if you can imagine that. They tell you when to wake up. They tell you when to have breakfast. They tell you when to have lunch. They tell you when to study. They give you an hour of TV. I went from stifled to worse than that, if you can imagine that. And so that's my story of this unforeseen consequence. And what it did, by the way, is when I left there, I went into the military and I shared a room with 70 other crazy people like me waiting for Vietnam, because I was young at that point in time. We didn't go because it started to de-escalate. But if you can imagine 70 other recruits being worked with from Vietnam vets, not a good thing. Let's just put it that way. And then I went to Quantico, Virginia, and I ended up with 100 people. They put me in an MOS, military occupational specialist, in corrections, which I did not want, I did not desire, I did not expect. Maybe it's God saying, Al, this is where you're going to be. I'm going to put you on the outside of the bars for a little while, but you will be inside of the bars if you continue on the path you're going. So anyways, to Speakers Bureau, that is my story of unforeseen consequences that put me into about 10 years of my life, if you include my childhood, about 18 years of my life living in the same room. So friends ask me, why do you go to movies by yourself? Why do you eat dinner all the time by yourself? It's because I had my fill of company.